Hey everyone, welcome back for a little TLC. Before I get started in today's video, I want to remind you to sign up for Christianity After Dark. It's going down this Thursday at 6:30. We're going to be having another transparent conversation about sex. For those of you who participated in part one, I want you to know that this format will be a little bit different, but we're going to still be having the same great conversation, and I'm sure that it's going to be just as engaging and just as informative. You can sign up by either using the link that's going to be in the description box to sign up and receive the Zoom link, or you can like True Lifetime Commitment Ministries on Facebook and you can tune in via Facebook Live. Just make sure you do not miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun and a really, really good event. So with that, today we're going to be talking about Christians and cancel culture. Should Christians be engaging in cancel culture? According to dictionary.com, cancel culture refers to the popular practice of withdrawing support for or canceling public figures and companies after they have done or said something considered objectionable or offensive. Cancel culture is generally discussed as being performed on social media in the form of group shaming. I do believe that there's power in numbers when it comes to group shaming, but I have a couple of issues with cancel culture. Number one, I just feel like it can be pointless because a lot of times if we are shaming a public figure, they don't even know or really care that we're canceling them in the first place. But as it pertains to Christians in particular, I have a problem with cancel culture because I believe we take this to a whole other level. We tend to cancel anybody who does something that is different from how we would do it or that we consider to be wrong. And that's especially true if someone is engaging in a sin that we consider to be particularly grotesque. And so, and I will put my own self out there. I can be the queen of the cutoff, but I think that God has really been convicting me about that because we can cancel everybody, including those people who are closest to us, because we don't want to be associated with someone who is doing something different or something that others might deem to be wrong or offensive. So today we're going to talk about Christian cancel culture. Let's get into it. So in case you couldn't tell from the beginning of the video, I don't really like cancel culture. I, in a lot of ways, think that it is the antithesis of Christianity. If we go around canceling everybody who does something wrong or canceling everybody who we think is engaging in sin or isn't doing things the way we like them to do them, then we're literally going to have nobody left because we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. We do that daily. I also think that it can be detrimental to us to only have people around to think like us and are doing the same things that we are doing, because sometimes we just might be around people who have similarly flawed thinking as us, and we're just in an echo chamber of bad and wrong ideas. So I think that cancel culture and just cutting off anyone who does something differently than us is wrong and is not Christian-like. I believe that us, of all people who call ourselves believers in Jesus Christ, should be the most compassionate, the most understanding, and the most forgiving, because while we were yet in sin, Jesus died for us. While we were still committing wrongs, Jesus died for us anyway, and God still forgives us and loves us. And so I think that we should be the most forgiving out of anybody, and not canceling people. Before we cancel folks, I encourage us to think about, like, have we even checked in with them to see what's going on with them? Have we attempted to pray for those people? Have we checked in to see if they're okay physically, emotionally, or spiritually? A lot of times we just jump straight to the canceling, and we might ask questions later, if at all, and that's a huge problem. And I would suggest that if we're not close enough to somebody to be able to pray for them or to check in on them to see how they're doing or what might have led up to this mistake or this wrongdoing, then we probably shouldn't be making any judgments about whether or not to cancel them anyway. I believe that instead of engaging in cancel culture, we should practice radical acceptance. I think that Jesus literally loves the hell right out of us, and we should be modeling that same form of love as Jesus does. I believe that Christians practicing cancel culture or engaging in cancel culture is one of the main reasons why the church struggles sometimes to build community. It's very difficult to build community or to even be your most authentic self if you're afraid that anytime you mess up you're going to be cast out, or if you're afraid that when you sin you're automatically going to be cast out. And I think that's the perception and the portrayal that the church can give off. I was talking to one of my cousins the other day, and they were telling me how they were in a gang, and they described how the gang members really looked out for them, even when they did things that might have been considered wrong to the outside world, including the church. And so as much as I wanted to say, well, you know, like, we've been taught that being in gangs is wrong, I couldn't really say anything because my cousin already believes in Jesus, and the church really isn't supporting them in the way that their gang family is. And even me as a blood relative, I felt like I had fallen off in the ways that I could have supported my cousin, and they were finding that acceptance and that love through their gang and not through church folks. And that really convicted me. But I like to learn from my convictions, and I really began to think about, like, how can we as Christians offer radical acceptance and radical love to people even if they're doing things that we don't consider to be correct? Like, how can we continue to love them, believers and non-believers alike, and not cancel them instead? I don't ever want to be in a position again where someone is receiving the love that they need from a gang or for anyone other than Jesus, when we are literally commanded to love our neighbors as ourselves. I've really been thinking about how can we love people unconditionally, even when they're committing mistakes, like we all do, even when they might be sinning. And I think a lot of that starts with us not canceling them the moment that they step out of line. Now, I'm not saying that we just let anything go or that we should be made complete fools of, but I do think that we can offer and extend a little bit more grace and a little bit more mercy than we do at the present time. And I think that the Holy Spirit, with discernment and spiritual wisdom, will help us be able to balance condoning anything with jumping all the way over to complete condemnation and just cutting people off altogether. We have to be willing to find a balance. There is no condemnation in Jesus Christ, and I believe that means that cancel culture, cutting people off altogether, should be extremely rare. We are the recipients of so much grace and mercy all the time. We should be able to extend that to other people. So that's really what I have. Do y'all think that we overuse cancel culture? Are we too quick to cut people off? What are some ways that we can show love even with people that we might disagree with, even with people who we believe have stepped out of line? Is there a way for us to find a balance between condoning too much and completely cutting people off? I look forward to seeing you all's comments, and I will see you next week for a little TLC. Bye-bye.